Monday. Also check us out on Wednesdays, and I want to give a good shout out to our beloved sponsor. Shout out to Nike, always supporting the community with athletic wear and footwear. Shout out to Miss Jackson Media Group, and shout out to everybody that's on right now on the MJMG Presents app, as well as our Bushwick Radio. Shout out to our Bushwick Radio, and shout out to everybody else that's coming on right now. We have a guest who is going to be talking about the infamous, and I use the word infamous, concept of sync. You know, we have a lot of conversations on the show about sync, about artists wanting to live the life and do all this amazing stuff in there, but we're going to have a true to life conversation about that today. So tell a friend to tell a friend. What we're going to do right now, we're going to make sure all the wheels and bearings are working. Shout out to everybody on LinkedIn as well. I see them coming in. And like always, shout out to my man Ivan, hailing out of Russia. Russia's in the building real early. Shout out to everybody that's on right now. Again, we're going to go into a quick wait, and that's the name of the song, Wait. Shout out to my man Delamons, and then we're going to get the set going, because you know my phrase, time is money, and I don't like wasting either. So let's check this out. We're going to go into this Delamons Wait song while you guys wait, and then we'll get on with the show. So check this out, y'all.
SHU Studio, we get busy.
I say wait, so don't call my name. Don't tell me, say you don't like the way I dey feel these days. I say wait, oh, so don't call my name, no. All you want from me is money, don't come my way.
See, recently they've been calling me, Facebook, IG stalking me. I see them eyeballs following, favorite cousin finally. Some start a call when they want something. Think I'm a star, but I come running. First priority is to feed my home.
And all I know is they call my phone, yeah, yeah, say hello. Cause I just want to be on my own. Making money, say all night long. Make I know they oh no, I say wait, so don't call my name. Don't tell me, say you don't like the way I dey feel these days. Oh no, I say wait, oh, so don't call my name, no. All you want from me is money, don't come my way.
That right there was Wait, Delamons. I want to send a big shout out to everybody on Bushwick Radio as well. We got a individual by the name Mark Fraser. And I want to give him like this grand, I want to give him this grand introduction because I love what he does. Not only is he an expert in tech and music, right? This man been quoted in likes of Wall Street, Forbes. You talk about CNN. He's been teaching people the inner workings of like this passion of ours for a very long time. He's instrumental in creating tools that help and guide us through navigating this music industry. Without further ado, let's bring out our guest, Mark Fraser, the great, the great Mark Fraser. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for having me here. What an introduction! I got to live up to it now.
Well, oh man, you have the legend precedes you. The legend precedes you. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for being on the show today. And sharing. I would like you to take. I like to set the tone a little early, and just to give us an aspect. Could you take us back to that '90s band that you was in, and your love for me? Yeah, I did a little bit of homework, just a little. We're not gonna sit there too long. Okay. But I want to set the tone for your roots of music.
Okay, well, it goes back a lot farther than the '90s. I mean, I had a swing band in the early '90s, and it was me and 6 other people, and we would play around New York City. And at the time, there was sort of a swing revival going on, so we would play reinterpreted songs of of classics, and I was basically a crooner, and I always loved singing. I always loved every aspect of music. I loved production and working with the craft of creation and performance. And over a long journey, as you know a little bit, Spud, I got into the tech business quite a bit. Because I was like, well, this is a great passion, but I got to pick a career here. So I started to do a lot of work in the technology space. And some of the stuff I've done in technology had nothing to do with music, which is cool. But then I started to think about what we could do with technology to empower musicians and to change the way that things are done in the music industry. And as I started to do that, I worked in some of the first things that you did in the internet with music, like, hey, let's have a company where we create custom CDs. This is taking you back to the 90s.
Taking you back, yes.
Where basically you'd go on a website and you could pick and choose songs that were on the website, and then we'd take that, we'd compile those songs, burn a CD for you, and then send it out.
Nice.
So that was like the first music tech thing that I was involved in. Then from there, I really kicked it up a notch, starting at the turn of the century when it started off when I was doing a project in Japan, and I saw that people were using their mobile phones for ringtones and for graphics and other types of entertainment. Yeah. And I thought, this is going to go all over the world. At the time when I started it, there was nothing here. There were no camera phones. There was no ringtones outside of the Nokia tone if you had a Nokia. But within 3 years, there was a big industry built around it. And we were a big part of building that industry. And a lot of that industry had to do with how music was used on mobile platforms. And that's how I really got deep into music and technology. Like we were a company that worked to develop mobile content for different large companies, working with labels, working with magazines at the time, other types of brands. And what we ended up seeing was that ringtones were the first thing that people really bought a lot of.
Yes.
So it started to then become a resource for people who were from labels to publishers to mobile companies like Verizon and AT&T, where we would publish what was going on in terms of ringtone sales. Like what were the ringtones that were going
what was going he was doing basically the analytics, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then what we did is I met the publisher of Billboard at the time, and I said to him, hey, I want to do a chart with you. I want to do a ringtone chart. And he was like, yes, I want to do a ringtone chart. So basically we got together, we collaborated on that, and we developed the technology to collect everything. And then we did all the contracts with all the people who were selling ringtones. and then we would publish that in Billboard for a while. That tech ended up being taken over by Nielsen, who owned Billboard at the time.
Yeah.
And it was the start of Nielsen Mobile. So that was one big thing that I did where I really got myself into music tech. After that, spent a couple of years working with a telecom that was more generally on content and marketing. And I never lost the music bug. I still did a lot of music deals. Fast forward to the start of this company,
Yes.
Sync Summit. That was in 2012. I was working for a venture capital firm, helping them with marketing their different tech portfolio companies.
Okay.
And while I was there, I saw what wasn't good AI for the time. And I thought, wow, what if we use this instead of trying to connect people to like bars and places that they can go on a map, which was the original technology? What if we connected music from people who want music for projects and people that are looking for music? And that was part of the start of me getting into this industry. The other part of this getting into sync was inspired by Matthew Knowles, of all people. And I'll tell you that story real quick, and then we'll move on to the present.
Yes, most definitely. I want to hear that.
Okay, well, Matthew and I have known each other for about a quarter century at this point, which is crazy. But when ringtones and mobile fan clubs started to hit, Beyonce and Destiny's Child were all in that. Okay. And Matthew and I, over time, we just became friends and worked on a bunch of stuff together. One day, I had a conversation with him, and this was a few years before I started like Sync Summit and everything I do now. And I was like, Matthew, what's going on? He's like, well, I've got this really cool deal that's happening. And Beyonce and Solange are going to be in these L'Oreal commercials. And they're going to play the music that both of them have coming out in the commercials. So that way, we're going to be able to promote them through the campaign that's being put on by the advertiser. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. You must be getting paid a lot. He's like, Mark, no, you're not really seeing the real reason why I'm doing this. And I'm like, no, Matthew, okay, I get it. All right. So he's like, yeah, you get it, right? We're actually now going from Sony's budget to this multi-billion-dollar budget that L'Oreal has, promoting my artists and my music and their music. Yes. And I was just like, this is the future. This is the future. Like brands and artists and music coming together with visuals. And I thought, this is the way that artists are going to get paid and promoted. And then I took that along with the idea about technology and I said, hey, I want to get into this business. What is this business? And then I asked a few of my friends, like, who do you know who does this? And I did not know what a music supervisor was at the time. Okay. So a friend of mine goes, hey, I want you to meet this other friend of mine who's a music supervisor. You guys should like talk about doing something together. So this person, great guy, at the time, he took me through the business, taught me a lot. He and I ended up doing Sync Summit together, which was the first event that we did back in 2013. And the reason that we did this event was because he and I were talking about various things we could do with technology. And I thought, you know what we need to do before that? We need to get everybody in the room at that time who was doing stuff with music and brands and film and TV and just talk about where the industry is and where it's going. And that was the start of what we did. I wanted it to be a 50-person get-together. It ended up being like a 300-person event.
They came out.
They came out. And then I was like, okay, well, we have a company here. This is something I got to pay attention to. So over the years since then, we've been doing events in New York, in LA, across the world with partners. I'm doing a bunch of stuff in Canada next month, but we do stuff in Poland. We do stuff in Mexico, all over the world, because Sync is really international. And then over time, we started to do more services for people. We started to do classes where we teach people realistically, here's what music supervisors look for. I know how to do that because I music supervise as well. I work on advertising and I've worked on film and TV, though I'm more of an advertising person. But at the end of the day, what we've tried to do is to give people access to like information, tools, and connections to people. That's what Sync Summit is all about. And we do that, through our events, which are, as I said, taking place all over the world, but also all those events take place online. Then we do listening sessions where we have a music supervisor come in. We just had Gary Calamar come in, who did 6 Feet Under and is now doing Three Body Problem. And what he and I will do is we'll get online with a bunch of artists and people that work with artists, labels and publishers, and we'll say, okay, give us 5 songs. We'll listen to 1 song during the session and we'll give you feedback. So that's another thing that we do. And outside of that, we have a blog, we have a newsletter, and really try to just act as an advocate for people in the industry. Then the last thing I'll say is that the other side of what I do is I'm in the middle of developing a, let's just say it's a tech project. It's launching in the fall.
Okay.
We have a working prototype. I can't talk too much about it right now.
Yeah, we can keep it on the wraps.
But I can tell you what it's going to do in a sort of a global sense. One of the biggest problems that we have in our industry is being able to sift through all of the music that comes to us and to be able to like cross-reference it with what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that stuff is being done by humans, but we are working on right now, I think, what is a pretty cool tool that will help music supervisors and other people looking to license music find music more easily that would be impossible for them to find. And then on the other side, we're giving artists and people who work with artists a tool that will help them to answer and promote to music supervisors more accurately and more efficiently. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to basically, in a way, what I started to do this business for use technology to connect people and music better.
I love that. Now, the word sync, and we spoke briefly about it.
Yeah.
It provokes a lot of like fantasy around it. Could you tell one of the misconceptions of like getting into the sync world for particularly artists?
Yeah. Well, first of all, for artists, this is a really hard business. It really is, because first of all, I would say a lot of people act like it's like some kind of alchemy, like you ever see those things where you have a guy with a hat on and they're like doing this and there's, smoke coming out of the cauldron. they're like, ooh, it's like a secret process. And a lot of people perpetuate that in the industry. Like this is some secret process. So as an artist, you're looking at this and you're like, well, what the hell's going on and how do I get in? And, the first thing comes down to knowing how the business works. How does this business work? That's the first thing you need to know. I'm going to say you have good music. You have music you believe in. You have music that you've created and you've mastered and mixed it and made it well. So you've got that. Now, the next step is you have to be able to understand what it is that we need from you in the industry. And that starts off by saying, okay, what do we need? Well, one thing that we need is we need metadata, which, to explain it, is basically the information about the files that you send us. So we need to have tags that describe what it is. We need to have contact information. We need to know how easy it is for us to license the piece of music and to work with you. And then from there, that allows us to find your music more easily and to potentially do business with you. So that's something that, when it comes to just bringing your music out to the world is a little different. You have to know that there's a business side to this that involves contracts and legality. And it's not that difficult. It's just knowing you need to have good metadata, and then you need to make sure that if you have co-writers,
everything,
you had conversations with them, and that you've confirmed that you can go and represent this music to someone who could license it. Yes. So you need to have all of your legalities wrapped up before you present something to us. Those two things, if you do those two things, the metadata and the legalities, you're going to be better than about 75% of the people that send us music. So already you're going to be at a different level. Then the other side of it is getting to know people, making connections, having a network, and then just understanding through time more how the business works. And what that means is, okay, you say to yourself, hey, I really want to get connected to the music supervisor that does John Wick. You can find who the person is. She's a friend of mine. But the point is that, if you don't know her, your question is, how do I possibly get my music
To her.
Yeah. So there's a few ways of doing it. The first thing is you can go out and research, and there are ways to research on LinkedIn, on IMDb, and you can eventually find her company and figure out her email address if you think
If you do the groundwork.
Yeah. So that's number one. And then you can send your music to her. But when you're sending your music to somebody who doesn't know you, you're going to have a very low response rate. And that's really frustrating because, you know, you're a musician, you're somebody who has a small label, and you're thinking nobody's ever listening to my music. Nobody's ever answering my emails. And to some degree, you know, that is the harsh truth. That does happen. But, you know, I would say to people, if you want to promote your music yourself, the best thing you can do is, you know, go out and research people, find their email addresses, find their social media, find a way that you can connect, maybe send 5 songs, send a playlist link, and introduce yourselves to them, and don't expect them to reply to you, because a lot of these people are getting 500 people getting in touch a week. That's the reality. But they do get your music. When they are looking for something that they can use, they will search for it. So if your metadata is good, you might have sent something to somebody a year ago, and they'll listen to it and go, "Hey, you know that track you sent me? I want to license it now." So
Yeah.
you have to be prepared and have a long-term outlook when you're working to present your music yourself. That's number one. Number two is you have to say, okay, so who else is out there that can help me? And that's where people...
You come in.
Well, me, I can help in some ways, but sync agencies are really important. But also, if you have a label or a publisher, there are people at the publishers and the labels that you can talk to, and you can ask them, do you have anybody who's working with sync? Can I work with them? And then the other side, going back to sync agencies are companies that work with artists that bring their music into their roster. So they're kind of like a label, but for sync is the best way I can put it.
I get you.
Their job is to promote you out to the sync community. And what's good about these people, if you get the right one, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, just like any company.
Anything else?
You know, if you get the right people and you have a conversation with them, and you feel like, oh, this company gets me and my music and has passion for me, and then you do a deal with them, they're going to be able to then connect you to their network, which is probably at least a few hundred music supervisors and other decision makers in the world. And that will help you to bring your music out to the decision makers while you're doing your own efforts in a really relevant way. And what do they get for doing that? They take a percentage of the fees that come in. So there's generally an upfront fee, and some sync agents will just take a percentage of that, which will be, for most people, between 20 and 30%, though some people will ask for more. And some people will also ask for a share of your publishing. Generally, I wouldn't do that, but some people do that. And it's worth it. And I will say it's worth it because what you get then is you get their network, you get their expertise, and you get their knowledge where they can help you, if you have questions about things. So those are two things that you have to look at that are different than any other area of the music industry, is that, you know, you have to prepare your music in a certain way, and then you have to go out and find a network of people that are really pretty specific, and then connect to people who can help you, like sync agencies. And then there are also what we call custom music houses that work mostly in advertising, but they also work in TV and film. And what they do is just what it sounds like. They work with composers, they work with songwriters, they work with people who create music, and those people are connected to ad agencies, brands,
you name it,
TV studios. So those are another avenue that you can use to connect to projects. Now, with all of that said, there's another thing that you should and can do in terms of connecting with people, because the work that you can do in emailing people or sending them DMs on social can only go so far.
Yeah.
You have to actually bring yourself out to the world. And you can do that online. You know, an example I gave of the listening session is something where you can meet a music supervisor and connect your music to them. Or you can go to an event, whether it's one of my events or it's like, there's another event called A&R Worldwide. That's a great event that just took place a couple weeks ago in LA. And those events where you have music supervisors and other decision makers come out to the event will give you a chance to connect with people. And depending on the event, like we do a lot to try to help people to connect at our events. Some events do less, but there's still good opportunities because there are people there. And if you meet somebody and you give them a card and you tell them very quickly who you are, and they can actually say, okay, I remember this person. I can just download what they gave me on the QR code. Or more importantly, even if they don't do that, even if you just made the connection, you can at least go back to them afterwards and say, hey, Alex, I am really so happy that I met you last week at Mark's conference. I just wanted to follow up with you, give you a quick playlist, and thank you for everything you do. I hope that you'll keep us in mind or keep me in mind for your future needs. That's all it has to be. Real simple. And if you make those kinds of efforts and connect to people who have networks, all of this can add up to being successful in this business. But I want to emphasize that, sync is not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people looking to get their music licensed. And, I say, like I said here, you've got to have three things. You've got to have good music. You've got to have preparation, and then you've got to be able to connect to the right people to pitch your music. And if you have that over time, you're going to have success in this industry. But if anybody tells you it's easy, they don't work in the industry. They're telling you something that's just not legit. It does take a lot of effort. And I've always said this to people. I wish that I could tell you there's a magic bullet that's going to connect your music right to Nora Felder in Stranger Things, or like Joel High, who works with like all of Tyler Perry's stuff. But at the end of the day, there isn't one. It's a ongoing effort of building and connecting.
It surely is, and thank you for reiterating what we speak a lot about on this platform. We have this conversation, especially about networking and how to build those relationships. So true. One funny thing is I have my notes, and it says no magic bullet.
Oh, that's funny. That's
no magic, no magic bullet. I surely did. I surely did hear you say that. Now I have a question for you, and it's pertaining to one of my experiences. Yep. I linked up with a music director for years, and I would get the brief, and it would give me all the data, and I was sending stuff in, and then years ago it was getting lower and lower, and then as of this year, I reached out and said, hey, you got anything going on, like anything you needed? And he said, well, we hired a prompter, and the prompter is just gonna prompt what we need from now on. Do you feel the rise of AI will challenge that market even further? What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, I'm glad you asked about that, because that's a lot of what I think about these days. And how is this industry evolving? And the industry is always evolving. There's always things that are happening in terms of what's going on with the studios. The studios are consolidating. They're trying to lower their budgets. They're trying to streamline things. Same with the agencies on the advertising and brand side. And when you look at that, that's one thing that we've been going through. But then the bigger thing right now is, how are we going to use AI to our advantage? Because there are two things that are happening right now. I could talk about music in general, but we'll stick to sync. What's happening right now is that you have two kinds of AI. You have generative AI and you have operational AI. Generative AI is basically music creation machines. So Suno and Udio are the two that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Suno and Udio are out there, and you can create music on it, and it doesn't sound as good as a good musician, but it sounds not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
If you know how to give it advice on how to create something. And what does that mean for everybody here? Well, in the short term, it doesn't mean a lot. In the midterm, it means a lot. And what I mean by that is that right now with Suno and Udio, we can't, as people in the sync industry, use anything that comes out of there.
Yeah.
Because Suno and Udio were trained on materials that they didn't have permission to train them on.
Yes,
So
indeed.
what that means to us is that we cannot license a song that comes off of Suno or Udio, because that will be a copyright infringement just because of the way that those two platforms were trained. So we stay away from that. We don't use that kind of content right now. In the future, what's going to happen? Well, there's going to be two types of companies that are creating music with AI. One is going to be Suno and Udio are eventually going to have something happen where the labels and the publishers will own a percentage of them, because that's going to be there's going to be one thing or the other.
Yeah.
We're either going to own part of you or we're going to put you out of business. And everybody's going to go, no. Let's work this out because we can make money together. So that's going to happen. And then when that happens, one of the initiatives that I know is going to happen quickly is that they're going to create some kind of Suno Sync or Udio Sync. And that is going to be something which is going to be a tool that can be used to create music specifically for audio-visual media. And you'll be able to upload a piece of video, upload a reference track for music, and you'll get something that you can use. And you'll pay some kind of a fee or some kind of a license for it. But that's going to be a portion of the industry now. And that portion of the industry is served for the most part, where that AI is going to go, is served for the most part, not by individual artists or famous artists, but it's served by music libraries, where basically a company will pay a fee to get access to an entire music library for a year, and then they can use the music as much as they want. Those kinds of companies, if they're not adapting to AI, are going to die. And a lot of them are going to die.
Yes.
Their business doesn't exist if you can do it with an AI device.
Yeah.
Custom music houses are not going to die, but their lower level projects are going to be replaced by AI. So that's the reality of what's going on with generative AI. It is going to shake up the industry. As far as individual artists go, individual artists and individual creative content is still going to have cachet. So people are still going to want to use it. People are still going to want to have authentic music for authentic experiences. They're not going to want to throw AI into, a beautiful film or a great documentary.
Yeah, no.
They're going to want to use real music. So real music is not going to die. It's just this lower level stuff, which is now like libraries and custom music houses to a degree, is going to be replaced with AI. But individual artists, I think that authenticity and originality are going to win. And sync agencies that represent people who produce great music like this, they're going to be okay too. They're not going to be in a position where, their business is going to fall apart. But it is going to change the dynamics of the industry. And then when it comes to famous music is always famous music. It's not going to change. Yeah. It's going to be expensive. It's like, it's like saying, oh, well, there's plastic in cars now. Yeah, but Bentley's Bentley. And when you have a Bentley, it's going to sell for a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to hold its value. So
that's what's going on with that. That's generative AI. Then you have operational AI, which is the stuff that I was talking about and the stuff that's a positive for us.
Yeah.
In for the most part. And what operational AI means is that AI that you can use to point at stuff to do stuff for you. So when you think about it, when you go into ChatGPT or Claude and you ask it a question, that's operational AI. You're asking it to do something and then it does something.
Yeah.
And specific to sync and music, AI can be used in the production environment. If you say, I want to have something mastered like a famous mastering engineer, there are tools that can do that for you. And they can give you the style of that person. Then you have tools that will allow your music to be found more easily, or for you to say, hey, what else does my music sound like? Or if you're a music supervisor, how do I find things more easily that meet what I need for my project? And then you have other things that exist for the production environment. Like there's a company called AudioShake. AudioShake, what they do is they have a tool that you can put music into, and it separates the music into individual stems. So what I mean by that is like it takes a piece of music and it goes
breaks everything up
to vocals, bass, drums, instrumentation, or it can even go further, guitars, piano, synth, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's really useful. Those are really useful tools. But, you know, for the purposes of what we're talking about right now, the thing that can be the most useful, and this is something that we're working on, but there are other companies that do similar aspects of it,
Okay.
which is, how do you define who you should send music to? And why would you send music to these people versus these people? Where does your music best belong in terms of the different projects that are out there? And that, knowing that, having a tool that can help you to do that and do it accurately is a huge win. So now that I've explained generative and operational, what does this all mean for you? Well, I already talked about the generative stuff, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. The operational stuff, if you have an idea of what the tools are that are out there and you keep yourself up to date on what's going on, there are tools that you can use right now to determine what your music sounds like versus what other music has been used in projects. There are tools that are coming out that are doing what I said, which is helping you to filter your music so that it reaches the right people. There are tools right now that can help you to fix at least part of your metadata. And all of these tools, in order to be successful, reach what I call the 60% rule. And the 60% rule is that AI is not going to get you to 100% no matter what. So if AI gets you to 60%, then it's the human creative element that takes over for the other 40%. So if you are in the studio working with some AI production tools to try and like work around some ideas, what about this melody, that melody, whatever, it can help you as a scratch pad to get yourself up to about 60%, which saves you time that you can use for other creative efforts. And the same thing goes for, you know, just imagine that there's a tool that helps you, you know, to better connect your music to, say, you know, 2,000 music supervisors. And you say, you know what? This 1,600 over here don't matter. They don't matter because they're not going to.
It don't pertain to you. Yeah.
Yeah. But the other ones over here, these people, send your music to them, connect with them. And here's the songs for each one of them that you should connect. And then you can automate that process too of sending the music out. That's operational AI in action. That saves you time that you are spending now trying to get all this music out to all these people and building all these databases. It can really streamline it for you. And again, I always say 60% rule. Basically, if an AI gets you to 60%, then it's successful, because the other 40%, it's not capable of. And you know, that's where I see the technology at now. That's where I see it going. And overall, if you harness the tools that are available, you can have a greater degree of success from using those tools to connect your music to.
Yeah, most definitely harnessing and balancing it between, like you said, its usage to its full potential of creation. Like it is. Now, I got a question for you directly.
Yeah.
If you could look back at the younger Mark and tell yourself anything, what would that be and why?
That's a good question. You know, at the end of the day, I would say probably in terms of this business, you know, I would have said, other than like, you should have bought Apple stock 20 years ago. You know, I think we could all say that if we were around.
Yeah, you know? For real.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I would tell my younger self. But the other thing that I would tell my younger self is, you know, just be aware of what's going on in technology at that time in the music business, because it's always going to be the tech that's going to drive what's next in the industry. It's been happening since the CD, the cassette, way before, when we were kids. You know, even me, who's not young, when we were kids, you know, you would have technologies that would keep transforming the music industry. And the music industry started to falter when it didn't pay attention to that. That was when Napster came out. They didn't do what they needed to do. And if I went back to myself when Napster was out, I would have said, you know what you need to do? you need to go and get the people that are running, somehow get the people that are running the music industry right now and say to them, look, it doesn't matter how much money you spend. You have to buy these things and you have to figure out how to use them because you guys are going to get killed by it. I saw that then. It was like, you guys are getting killed by this machine because it's the coolest thing ever. I can go on to this new machine and I can get any kind of music I want from anywhere for free.
Yep.
And, the reason that happened was partially because you had new technology. But the other side of it was that people didn't understand how to harness it. Now, that's what I would have told myself back then, because I think we're in a better place now. We're not in a great place. We're never in a great place, because there's good and bad.
Yeah.
But I think we're in a better place now because I think that people understand what the bad points of technology are, but they also can understand how to harness the good points, and that's something that maybe we didn't understand as well a couple of decades ago, because now I feel like people have gone through so much with technology, going from physical to just like the bottom dropping out of the market to then eventually streaming coming in. And now we've got a kind of a diverse, interesting market. It's a totally different way of the music industry.
Big time.
And as far as sync goes, I feel like, we're always going to have evolution in sync. We're always going to have evolution in the music industry, but music's never going to go away because at the bottom line, people love music, and to a degree, they respect musicians and they want musicians to have, to eat, I hope, So at the end of the day, music isn't going anywhere. Sync isn't going anywhere. Technology is going to keep changing. And, if you just keep your eyes on what's going on in the industry and how you can apply it to what you do, I think you'll be able to prosper in the future. So that's a long answer, but when it comes down to what I would have told myself at the time, I would have said, you know what, you really have to push like people into utilizing technology for their benefit more.
That's very important. And a lot of what you said is, I'm glad you even said it, because that's a big conversation. And what you said, we reiterate that a lot of times on the show. So it just shows us all, and to the viewers that's on, that we in the right path. I do want to say something to you. We know we're in the era of everyone getting their flowers, right? Yep. It's a big conversation. But here on MJMG Presents SHU Radio, we don't give out flowers. We give out honor, because flowers do die, but honor lasts forever. And we want to take this time to give you your honor. With your transition and your conversation, everything that you just mentioned to us was in the embedment of the artist, the betterment of creation. You kept a moral compass as you expand in the technology world to make accessibility into the creations of what we love. And that's a big thing, because a lot of times an individual could be in these spaces and automatically just look at the creations without holding the essence of the humanity, the human touch, to feel the passion, the heart at whole. So with that being said, every step and even in your conversation is evidence. So we want to give you your honor for maintaining that, and also giving us some new stuff to add to what we already love. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Spud. I really appreciate it. The last thing I'll say is that one of the real reasons I got into doing what I do is because I have a lot of friends who are musicians. Some of them are famous, some of them are not famous. But the one constant they have is that they have been ripped off by the industry. Yeah. And I want to try to help them a little bit. I want to try to use what I can do to help them, whether it's giving them information, a connection, or maybe some technology that's going to help them, go around those people that are trying to mess them up. I feel you on that. That's my whole passion and aim every step of the way. If someone's interested in reaching out and getting some more information on Sync Summit, where could they go? Let's put that on blast and get that information to the people. Please do. We've got a lot of stuff that we're doing. We have like all kinds of events coming up this year in New York and LA. We've got classes coming up. You can always talk to me. We've got a big blog, but it all starts with, if you go to our website, it's SYNC Summit, SUMMIT.com, syncsummit.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm pretty responsive to emails. It may take me a day or two if I get really busy, but I'm pretty responsive to everybody. It's Mark, M-A-R-K, at syncsummit.com. I'd be delighted to hear from you. I'd be delighted to get a link to your music. I would be delighted to get connected.
There you go. I want to thank you again for coming on the show. You shared a lot of information. Our viewers, there was some people asking, "Hey, are you saving this?" So you gave a lot of good information, good insight, as well as good feel. So I want to thank you again, Mark, for coming on the show, sharing that information, and please continue on with. I think you found. I don't want to say you found your magic bullet, man, but you're on a bullet and it's hitting its target. It's hitting its target, man.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate that, and I'm going to invite you to. We're doing an event in July in Dumbo around sync and AI, so you're invited. I'll send you all the info.
All right, I will be there, front and center.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Well, now I got to get a phone call to Korea. So
there you go. Have a good one. Have a great one.
Thanks, everybody. Great to see you.
All right, bye. Shout out to everybody that's on right now. That was Mark Fraser, the CEO of Sync Summit. He dropped a lot of gems, and I like the fact that he shared a lot of information that we already have in our conversation and the misconceptions of sync. And one of the biggest things he said, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I do like his take on AI and how the AI music is working, and I could see he was being innovative of having those tools. So I hope there was something that y'all took from it. We got some time, so we're gonna play some music, and then I'm gonna give my final word. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give my final word now, so that way we could rock out. But I do want to send a big shout out to everybody on the MJMG Presents app, as well as Bushwick Radio. Shout out to Bushwick Radio on the check-in, and of course, my loyal people that always show love and keep the audience going on the Instagram Live. But if you didn't get anything from today, and I'm gonna separate it from sync, and I'm gonna just round it about to anything. When life and business, anything, when things are transitioning, there's always a change. And if you don't stay ahead of the curve, you lose out. But as you develop with the curve or stay ahead of the curve, there's one thing that you have to maintain is the appreciation of what was. And I'm going to show you the importance of that. A lot of times when we go into the transitions, those who start in the moments of the transitions, we look at them like they don't get it. They don't get it. And the reason why they don't get it is because our experience of what was maintains us to the opportunities of what's happening now. That's our leverage. Understanding and utilizing what is now, but holding on to what was, because then you can truly appreciate it. Because if you never knew anything that wasn't was, what you have now is just now, and you can't see the benefits in it. So grow, learn, insight, be creative, be innovative, but don't forget what was. The you, the work, the tools, the outline, the people, the moments, the what wasn't there. Don't forget all those, because when you do get the things that are applying now, you will really, really deeply appreciate that. Let's give a round of applause to everybody that was on. Shout out to my man Mike Frazier. He don't know he my man yet, but that's my man. Now, we had a good conversation backstage, and it was most definitely a dope show. Shout out to everybody that's on right now. We're going to go into some music for a little bit. I think we're going to set it off with some 808 Blues real quick. We're going to go into a joint called 808 Blues. Shout out to MJMG Presents. This is on the Experience album. And if you got any further questions, you know, normally we don't do this on this show, but if you got any further questions about what was said, we sticking to what was said. So it's only sync. Put it in the chat or send it in the email. But we're going to go into 808 Blues real quick, and we're going to go into some music. Shout out to my man Bird. We're going to play some of his joint. Check this out, y'all. I'm gonna double check that for you, Amber. But it is syncsummit.com.
And I wrote my own story. It takes hard work, patience and grit. Only the strong survive. You know, I did it. I was given love from my family and my team. They told me to go chase my dreams. Way you'll never lose. See, I came from nothing, descended from glory. I made my way to the top and I wrote my own story. It takes hard work, patience and grit. Only the strong survive. I did it.
Shout it out. That was 808 Blues right there. We're going to go into a Playboy Berg. Playboy Berg just dropped the next episode. If you haven't been following Playboy Berg, he's been on his mission to spread the word with a whole movie. He did a whole movie with every record. Shout out to my man Randine. Got to hit the town with the boy. Yeah, we got some stuff. Be on the lookout for the We Get Busy too. But shout it out to everybody, man. It was a really lot of good information today. I'm glad he reiterated a lot that we speak about here on the show. I think that gives a good insight to many of the people that's on right now to utilize the idea and the concepts of sync. Very important. All right, I'm trying to find this. I just got blocked out real quick, but we're gonna go into this Berg joint. I want to see the next episode. He got a new episode out. Let me see if we got it on top. Let me go to his Vivo. My man got his Vivo page. Oh, he got the Walking with God. Okay, that's episode 1, 2. I'm looking for episode. Did they pull it? I think they pulled it down. Alright, but anyway, we're gonna go into episode 1. This song is called No Mercy. Let's check this out, and we're gonna keep the set going. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But I wanted to check that out today.
The deuce, to some is just a number, but to me and my family, the deuce means a lot more. It's deeper than just a number. The deuce is strong. The deuce is wild. The deuce is life. The deuce is forever. See, the deuce is our world, our planet, our universe. But it's also our trap, our drug paradise, our nightmare. Everyone, please welcome to the deuce.
How could you ask for forgiveness?
How could you ask for forgiveness? How could you?
After the way that you hurt me.
After the way that you hurt me.
That way. You let me down in the darkness.
You let me down in the darkness.
So don't expect any mercy.
Only expect God's mercy.
No mercy, no mercy.
Nah,
I can show any mercy. No mercy, no mercy.
I can't.
I can show any mercy. No mercy, no mercy.
No mercy.
I can show any mercy.
Follow Berg Nation, Natalia, acting rehab.
No mercy.
You already? Man on a mission, no one else is competition. When I preach these compositions, so precise, so much precision. His knowledge, if you listen, was the first one with the vision. Had him throwing up them deuces from the churches to the prisons. No curses, just lyrics. My verses lift spirits. In a room full of mirrors. Death's trying to come near us. The nation's so meaningful. From Calle Ocho to Webster Hall. Even X Factor gave me that call. I never gave up, it's just me, that's all. They had fun as they watched me fall. But I got back up like I was 12 feet tall. Now, Bergie's back, they gotta watch watch me ball. But this time I teamed up with the Lord. Come on.
How could you ask for forgiveness? Yeah, After the way that you hurt me. After the way that you hurt me.
You let me down
In the darkness. Down in the darkness. So don't expect
any mercy.
No mercy, no mercy. No mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
How could you ask for forgiveness?
How could you ask for forgiveness?
After the way that you hurt me.
After the way that you hurt me.
Oh, you let me down in the darkness.
You let me down in the darkness.
Yeah. So don't expect any mercy.
So don't expect any mercy.
No mercy.
No mercy.
No mercy.
No mercy.
I can show him any mercy. No mercy. No mercy.
Yeah.
I can show him any mercy.
No mercy.
No mercy. No mercy.
Yup.
No mercy. No mercy.
No mercy. I can show him any mercy.
No, no, no.
No mercy.
No, no, no.
Only God's giving you mercy.
No.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Take him to church, Natalia.
No, no, no.
Come on.
No.
No mercy. Yeah. How could you ask for forgiveness? Yeah. After the way that you hurt me. Come on. You let me down in the darkness. In a real dark place. So don't expect any mercy. Don't expect any mercy. No mercy. No mercy. Only mercy from the Lord. No mercy. No mercy. Come on.
No curses, just lyrics.
Yes.
My verses lift spirits.
Yes.
In a room full of mirrors.
Next.
Death's trying to come near us. No curses, just lyrics.
Yes.
My verses lift spirits.
Yes.
In a room full of mirrors.
Next.
Death's trying to come near us.
Bless.
That right there was Playboy Berg featuring Natalia. Natalia, that was done here at SHU Studios. Shout out to my man Berg on that. We're gonna cut the show. We're gonna end the show. I don't want to say cut the show. We're gonna end the show. Shout out to everybody that was listening. I hope some valuable information was shared and you could utilize it. Reach out to him. You know, get on that summit, check it out, see what can be done. Sync is not easy, but it is a great way to generate some type of living and networking. You never know, networking as well. But we're gonna cut the show. I keep saying cut the show. We're gonna end the show. I do got a request, but I'm not I'm not gonna play that request. They wanted me to play one of my old records. We're not gonna play no old records of mine today. Not today on the show. Not today on the show. But what we will do is we're gonna go into, I got this artist that the show that ever played the 2 bars from him. Shout out to my man Dark Side Preem. He's been on fire as of lately. Bushwick Radio knows him very fondly. So we're gonna go into this Dark Side Preem joint. This is called 1 bar, 2 bar. Shout out to the homie Preem and shout out to y'all, man. This is MJMG presents SHU Radio. I'm your host, Bob Brooklyn. Check us out every Monday where we bring entertainment and education your way. Hopefully I'm working on some. I'm not gonna speak too soon. But we will be bringing you a lot more treats, y'all. So stay tuned. Shout out, y'all. Have a good night. Be creative, keep creative, and always learn. Let's check this out. This is 1 bar, 2 bar. Dark Side Preem.
And start instructing your people. But then the record executives would say, we don't want that. So, let's set up our own distribution company.
Look where we at now. Motherfucking donkeys. Yeah. Now everybody scrambling, everybody panicking, hip-hop vanishing, it need new management. Now they wanna bandage it after they done damaged it. It's crazy how my city became a major embarrassment. 10 rap commandments, they never read the manuscript. Everybody claiming king but was never a candidate. We don't need another debate with fake panelists. We don't need another Drake, we need another cannabis. We need another classic like Malice in them. We just waiting for one to land like Alice in them. This is big league fallacies. Big dreams turn to sleep paralysis. You know what the kid needs, dialysis. If you never grip the mic till you got calluses, you never spent nights in a stool, then I don't wanna hear who nicer than who. Nigga, fuck your analysis. And for the record, I don't care what your checking balance is. Don't care who you half naked on an island with. I don't respect your records if you're talentless. We let too many peasants in the palace. Too many rap legends fell to balance. Mac 11s with the silencers. We should put academics in a chalice. This ain't Calabasas, Tallahassee, or Dallas. This NY, the MEWCA lock from BK. If they don't put this record in rotation, fire the DJ. Cause these days, it costs too much to get a replay. If he say, pause too much, I think that he gave 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4. Yours, mine, it's all about the rhymes. Yeah, 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4. Yours, mine, nigga hit rewind. Salute to Primo and Nas, 2 legends, no egos involved. A real DJ, a real MC, no facade, feeding the dogs. These days, a b-boy is starved with Ebro in charge. They ain't do nothing for the culture but freeload and rob. Shit, look what's happening now, it feel like we running Raj. Niggas that kidnap your whole flow and debo your bars. But I've been doing this since love still good. Chico the barge, came a long way from kilos of hard. Perico in jars, they Rico your squad. Repo your cars, we know the odds. Trying to weave and bob like European salons. But this a different style here, this is being Solange. This knowledge is self, and I ain't never read the Quran. This knowing the difference between the king, queen, and the pawn. This is 9-8 C73 in the dorm, the depth.